Cleetus McFarland just did something nobody expected. He went to Rockingham. He finished all 250 laps, and he forced a NASCAR legend to completely eat his words. I am talking about Kyle Petty. Before the race, Petty went on air and said that internet sensations have no place on a NASCAR track unless they've earned it the real way. But after Saturday, he came back and admitted Cleetus slapped him in the face. That is a massive swing. So here's what actually happened, why this moment matters, and whether Cleetus McFarland just changed the entire conversation around him. The criticism of Cleetus started way before race day. Kyle Petty made it very clear in a March segment that he did not believe YouTube stars should get fast-tracked into National NASCAR Series just because they have a big audience. His exact point was this: NASCAR is supposed to be elite. Drivers should climb the ladder through racing merit, not social media reach. And honestly, a lot of traditional fans agreed with him. Because when you looked at Cleetus McFarland's resume heading into 2025, the experience just wasn't there. He had only 4 ARCA starts in 2024 and 1 Truck Series race at Daytona that ended with an early self-spin. So when Richard Childress Racing handed him an Xfinity ride, many fans did not see it as a development story. They saw it as a marketing move. That's what made Petty's criticism land so hard. He was saying out loud what a lot of old school fans were already thinking, that NASCAR has developmental ladders for a reason, and a giant YouTube following should not replace actual seat time. It was not personal. It was philosophical. It was about what the sport should value. But then Saturday happened, and the story got a lot more complicated. The first thing that changed the mood was the ARCA East race earlier that day. Cleetus ran 4th, his first top 5 finish in any NASCAR-sanctioned event. He kept the car clean, stayed out of trouble, and climbed through the field. Afterward, he said he had more confidence than Head ever had in a stock car and dedicated the run to Greg Biffle. That result did not erase the skepticism, but it did soften the setup for the second race of the day. Because if Cleetus had looked completely lost in the morning, the Xfinity debut would have been framed as a looming disaster. Instead, he gave everyone watching at least a little reason to believe he might survive. And that's where Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s advice becomes really important. Before the race, Dale Jr. told Cleetus to stay out of the news, go race, have fun, and not try any hero stuff. His expectation was not for Cleetus to be fast. It was for him to run laps and learn. That advice was almost the exact opposite of what a lot of new drivers want to hear. But it was also the right advice for a guy stepping into one of the hardest, most unforgiving environments Head ever faced. And once the Xfinity race started, it became obvious why Dale Jr. said that. Cleetus qualified 35th. Then on lap 4, he threw the car 3 wide into turn 1, got sideways, and somehow made a save. It was a spectacular save, yes, but it was also exactly the kind of early race overreach people feared. That one moment told you everything about the day ahead. There would be flashes of instinct, but also a lot of risk. He kept surviving, though. Later in stage 1, Blake Lothian spun ahead of him, and McFarland barely missed him by diving to the apron. NASCAR Recap said he missed the spinning car by inches. That was the second big sign that the day was balancing on a knife edge. One bad bounce and the debut becomes a wrecked car, another social media storm, and probably another week of people screaming about NASCAR approval process. Instead, he escaped again. The race itself never became good in the traditional sense. By the end of stage 2, Cleetus was 33rd and 2 laps down. He got hit with a pit road speeding penalty. He had numerous half spins, then a full spin on lap 206 that brought out a caution. By the end, he was 32nd, 6 laps down. If you judge the day purely by result and rhythm, it was a rough race. But here's where the whole thing flips. Despite all of that, the penalty, the spins, the awkward moments, the pace deficit, he finished. He did not destroy the car. He did not wipe out half the field. He did not become a rolling hazard for the leaders. He completed all 250 laps. At this level, on this track, with this little experience, that was enough to change the way some veteran eyes judge the day. And that brings us to Kyle Petty. He did not issue a formal written apology, but on air, he absolutely ate his words. After the race, Petty said, "If you're going to criticize, you also have to give credit." Then he added that Cleetus did what he needed to do. He ran every lap. He didn't tear anything up. He didn't really get in anybody's way. And that was enough to shut up guys like me. That is not just a softened opinion. That is a full public reversal, and then it got even better. Another report described Petty saying Cleetus had smacked him in the face and shut his mouth, basically admitting he had to take the hit for being too harsh before the race. Kyle Petty came in expecting to be proven right. Instead, he watched Cleetus do the one thing that mattered most: bring the car home without ruining the day for everybody else. That is as close to an on-air apology as you usually get in NASCAR television language. And Cleetus' own post-race comments made it even harder to stay mad at him. He told Kyle Petty the race had kicked his butt, but he finished, and that was the goal. He admitted they briefly reached 26th, and he got so excited he immediately overdrove the next corner and spun. He said he felt like head spun out 50 times and almost died 10 times. But he was proud the car wasn't destroyed and that he hadn't ruined anyone else's day. That is an honest, grounded answer from someone who clearly knew exactly what his limitations were. He also sounded like someone who learned more in those 250 laps than in weeks of preparation. And it wasn't just Kyle Petty who softened after the race. Justin Allgaier, the 2024 Xfinity Series champion, praised MC Farland afterward too. He said Cleetus did a great job, that Head put in the effort, and that he did exactly what he needed to do. Allgaier also said he had no problem racing with him that day. That is not small praise coming from a series regular who had every reason to be cautious about a crossover driver entering his field. Mark Martin also came away impressed. He agreed that Rockingham was an exceptionally difficult place for someone with Cleetus' experience level to tackle, and that simply getting through the weekend said something important. That matters because Mark Martin is not the type to hand out approval cheaply. What makes this whole story compelling is that nobody serious is pretending Cleetus was suddenly great. He wasn't. The result was 32nd. The pace was rough. The penalty hurt him. The spin hurt him. RCR Vice President Danny Lawrence even admitted we need to be better and that NASCAR still might want to see another race before approving Talladega. That's a realistic, sober team assessment, but that's what makes Petty's reversal more meaningful. He wasn't giving Cleetus credit because the result was glamorous. He was giving him credit because the job at hand was not go run top 15. The job was don't embarrass yourself, don't wipe out the field. Don't make everyone regret this. And when you judge the debut through that lens, Cleetus actually passed the test better than many expected. So what does the future hold from here? Cleetus himself joked after the race that all the internet talk had almost made him think maybe he shouldn't come back. Then immediately followed it with "Psych, see you guys in 2 weeks at Talladega." The confidence is still there, but RCR sounded more cautious. Danny Lawrence said NASCAR will look at everything, and he wouldn't be surprised if they asked the team to run another race before Talladega or Daytona. That tells you this story is not over at all. The next chapter is probably about approval, not hype, and I think that's exactly how it should be. If Cleetus had gone to Rockingham and looked completely overwhelmed to the point of being dangerous, the argument for slowing him down would be overwhelming. If he had shocked the field, the internet would be demanding Talladega tomorrow. Instead, what happened was more useful than either extreme. He showed he could survive. He showed he could learn. He showed he could handle the pressure. But he also showed why this process should still be careful. That's why I don't think the biggest story from Rockingham is really the finishing position. It's the perception shift. The weekend started with a NASCAR legend saying Cleetus had no place there if all he brought was internet fame. It ended with that same legend publicly admitting he had to stop talking and give the guy credit. That is a huge win for Cleetus, even if the box score itself looks ugly. Now I want to hear from you. Did Kyle Petty really owe Cleetus MC Farland an apology after Rockingham? Or did Cleetus only barely do enough to quiet the criticism? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you want daily NASCAR news, race reactions, controversy breakdowns, and the biggest stories from around the garage, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.